Welcome back to the channel, and guys, this is Rajoshi, and today together we are going to add sun effect to a particular photograph and create an ambience to accentuate the photograph. So with that being said, let's get started. Now, in order to add a sun, we always need to create three things. First is to create the ambience of the sun, which is by darkening the other corner of the photographs where the sun isn't affecting. Because if a sun affects the entirety of the photograph, then it doesn't look that much natural. So we'll create the ambience, then we will add the actual sun, then we'll create a dynamic range by adding a flare to that. So let's get started. So the first things first, we'll create a curves adjustment layer and bring down the highlights as well as the shadows to create the darkening of the image, and then with the gradient tool selected, we'll create a mask in the sky. We'll duplicate the curve and then create another mask at the bottom section of the image, that is on the waters. So what this does is actually create a sort of darkening in the image, because as per my plan I am going to add the sun to this particular layer. I'm going to add the sun here. So we are going to darken the corner of the image for that very purpose. Now let's get started. Now I am using the sun from the asset panel of Affinity Photo 2 from the Mystical Lights pack. So I'll use this particular one called Sunbeam 20. So I will just drag and drop it over the image and set the blending mode to screen. I'll place the image right where I want it, right about here in this particular scale. And you see, we have already done a great job doing that. The next thing we want to do here is to add a flare, as I already told you that we will add a flare. And for that flare thing, I'm picking this particular image called Sunbeam 22. Then again we are going to set the blending mode to screen and we will place the sun. Now if you look here, the man is on the right hand side of the photograph and the flares are also on the right hand side. So this creates some kind of visual imbalance, visual weightage disbalance. So to compensate for that, I'll just take it to the other direction and place it here. So now we have our subject on the right hand side and our flare on the left hand side. You can add even more flares if you like. I'll do the same. We have these really sharp edges and we can see the edge lines. So to remove those edge lines, you create a group for both of the layers, and on top of that just create a curves layer and increase the contrast. Just look at this, just increase the contrast and clip it to this layer. See, it's going away. Duplicate this thing and add it to this layer as well. And we are done. Now we can just erase the some parts of the photograph, because the photograph abruptly ends there, so which is not good for this particular composition. So to accentuate for that, we will just create a mask layer, choose the brush, a big white brush, and simply erase it. With black as a foreground color, we simply erase it from these layers. And now we are going to add some mood to the image by darkening several portions, that is basically dodging and burning. So let's just get started with that. Now dodging and burning is pretty simple. I'll make a different video based on dodging and burning. For this part, just remember we are going to create an exposure layer and bring down the exposure, and then we'll choose the brush with black as the foreground color and opacity around 20%, around 50% opacity. We'll remove it from the center. 100% opacity and 50% flow, will remove it from the center and these surrounding areas. Just like that, simply, subtle. So from this to this, now we are done with the photograph. Just take a look at this difference from this to this, from this to this. and literally in 3 minutes. So I think that's a really cool thing to observe. Now with that being said, I end the video here because this was a really short tutorial on how to add some flares and sun in a particular photograph. So I hope we'll see the next week. With that being said, once again, take care, goodbye, and buenos dias.